What if I told you the real story of America's rise isn't written in textbooks, but carved into ledgers, vaults, and balance sheets? What if the skyscrapers of Wall Street, the wealth of Ivy League universities, the billion-dollar power of insurance companies were all built on transactions involving human beings? Bought, sold, mortgaged, insured, traded like property. What if the greatest economic miracle in American history wasn't innovation, wasn't freedom, but slavery, turned into a financial machine so sophisticated, so profitable, so deeply hidden that its architecture still shapes the economy today? And what if I told you that the biggest secret isn't what slavery did to the past, but what it still does to the present? This is America's true slave economy story. And once you hear it, you'll never look at the U.S. economy the same way again. Slavery didn't begin as an economic system. It became one. By the early 1700s, something extraordinary and terrifying happened in the American colonies. Enslaved Africans were no longer seen as just labor. They became assets, collateral, capital, something banks could lend against, something traders could invest in, something plantation owners could mortgage. A human being had a price tag, not just on an auction block, but on paper. And once human bodies entered the financial system, everything changed. Loans, mortgages, insurance policies, bonds, futures, all the quiet instruments that make Wall Street powerful today were experimented on enslaved people first. The economy didn't just use slavery. It evolved around it, and the consequences would shape every generation that followed. Picture New York City today, the financial capital of the world. Glass towers, investment banks, trading floors buzzing with billions of dollars every second. Now rewind to the 1700s and 1800s. Wall Street wasn't just a place of money. It was literally a slave marketplace. Yes, the same place where global financial decisions are made today was once the site of slave auctions, slave rental transactions, insurance sales on enslaved people, loans collateralized by enslaved labor, trading houses dealing in cotton-backed securities. Most people don't know this. Even fewer know what happened next. By the 1800s, the South grew cotton, but Wall Street turned it into global profit. Cotton became the single most traded commodity on earth, the oil of its era, and the only reason America could dominate the cotton market was forced labor. Enslaved workers produced billions of pounds of cotton. Wall Street financiers turned that cotton into international credit, trading instruments, export contracts, futures markets, government revenue. One historian put it simply, slavery was America's first big business, and Wall Street was the headquarters. This is a part almost no one knows. Insurance companies today manage trillions of dollars. They protect homes, cars, businesses, lives. But many of them became powerful because they insured enslaved people. That means a slave owner could take out a policy on an enslaved person. If that person died, the insurance company paid the owner. If they became ill or unable to work, the owner was compensated. And insurers built massive wealth, one premium at a time. Major companies, some still operating today, wrote these policies. It was predictable profit, low risk, high return. But it was more than that. It gave slavery corporate stability. It made exploitation safe, secure, and financially guaranteed. It turned human lives into actuarial charts. And decades later, when these companies grew into financial giants, their origin stories quietly disappeared, except in old archives, buried policies, and ledgers that reveal the truth. Banks do not grow without collateral. And in the 1800s, the most valuable collateral in America was not land. It was people. Banks made enormous loans using enslaved people as the security behind the debt. If a plantation owner owned 50 enslaved workers, he could walk into a bank and leverage them for expansion, equipment, land purchases, business investments, political influence. Some banks even repossessed enslaved people when borrowers failed to pay. Human beings were treated the same way banks treat cars or houses today, and that allowed banks to expand branches, build capital reserves, fund new industries, stabilize themselves through economic crises, eventually become the institutions we know today. But here's the secret most people never hear. Slavery didn't just fuel the Southern economy. It powered Northern banks, British banks, European investors, insurance firms, shipping companies, and government coffers across the Atlantic. It was not a Southern system. It was a global one. This part is shocking, and universities rarely publicize it. Some of the most prestigious colleges in America, institutions known for history, science, law, and moral leadership, were funded by slave trading wealth, donations from plantation owners, mandatory labor of enslaved people, endowments built from slavery-linked industries. Enslaved workers literally built the physical campuses of several major universities. They cut the stone, made the bricks, laid the foundations. Professors wrote economic theories defending slavery. Students came from wealthy slaveholding families. Donors made fortunes from cotton, sugar, rice, and tobacco. The intellectual class and the economic class were tied together, and the impact lasted for generations. Here's the deepest secret, the one almost never discussed in public. Most people think slavery ended in 1865, but the economic structure of slavery did not. Because when an entire economy is built on forced labor, extracted wealth, artificially inflated profits, generational deprivation, government-backed exploitation, it doesn't simply disappear when the law changes. The money stayed, the institution stayed, the land stayed, the bank stayed, the insurance company stayed, the university stayed, the political power stayed, but the people who generated the wealth were released into a world with no compensation, no property, no generational assets, no education, no legal protection, no political leverage. The greatest wealth transfer in American history, from enslaved black labor to white institutions, was never reversed, not even a fraction of it. And here's the truth. You cannot understand modern American equality until you understand that the economy itself was built on a 250-year head start for some and a 250-year economic trap for others. This is a secret that explains almost everything. Why some neighborhoods prospered, why some remained underfunded, why certain businesses grew, why certain communities struggled, why generational wealth gaps still exist, why the past still shapes the present. Slavery didn't end. Its economic blueprint simply changed form. Let's follow the money. New York City thrived on shipping, banking, insurance, and cotton financing. Boston, textile mills powered by slave-grown cotton. Rhode Island, home to some of the largest slave trading families. Louisiana and Mississippi, massive wealth from sugar and cotton, the era's most profitable crops. England and France, European investors held American slavery bonds and made fortunes. Railroad companies, funded by profits from plantation owners who shipped goods across the country. Early U.S. government revenue, much of it came from tariffs on slave-produced exports. Slavery wasn't one industry. It was the spine of the entire economy. What makes this story haunting is not just what happened, but how it was recorded. Not in diaries, not in testimonies, but in financial ledgers. Books that itemize human beings like inventory, names reduced to numbers, lives reduced to profit margins. A banker in the 1800s might write, asset depreciated due to illness, value increased due to skill, collateral transferred. These weren't abstract figures. They were people with dreams, families, cultures, history. And Wall Street grew by turning them into spreadsheets before spreadsheets existed. When slavery ended, America faced a choice between repairing the people who built the country or protecting the wealth built from them. And America chose the wealth. Every institution, political, financial, educational, corporate, adapted instantly. Laws, policies, contracts, segregation rules, labor systems, housing policies, redlining, convict leasing, credit discrimination, job discrimination, healthcare inequality. Each one preserved the economic imbalance created by slavery. Slavery ended, but the economy designed around it didn't. So here's the truth. America did not become a global power in spite of slavery. It became a global power because of it. The legacy of slavery isn't just in the suffering. It's in corporate structures, financial systems, real estate markets, university endowments, government wealth, private fortunes, banks that still exist today, companies that dominate modern industry. This isn't just history. It's architecture, economic architecture. We still live inside. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So now the question becomes, if a nation was built on a system so powerful that it shaped its banks, corporations, universities, laws, and billions of dollars of generational wealth, can a country ever truly escape that past without confronting the blueprint it refuses to acknowledge? Or are we still living inside an economy designed centuries ago by ledger lines written in the names of people who never got to tell their own story? Because their story is the real story of America. And now that you know it, what will you do with it? If this story opened your eyes, if it revealed a truth you were never taught, then don't let it stop here. Share this video. Because history only stays hidden when people stay silent. Comment your thoughts. Your voice keeps these conversations alive. Hit subscribe. More untold stories are coming, and you don't want to miss them. Turn on notifications, so you're here the moment the next truth drops. This isn't just a video. It's a reminder, a challenge, a spotlight on a past that still shapes our world. And the more people see it, the harder it becomes for anyone to erase it. So before you scroll, take a second to push this story forward. Because history doesn't change on its own. People change it. And it starts with you.